Galloway's, support through sight loss. Galloway's, get active. Eccleston and Heskin, guided walk.
Okay everyone, it's James and Jane here again on another of our video walks for Galloway's. Today we're in Eccleston and we're starting from the village green, and then we're going to go down Ince Lane, which is where we are now, and then we'll take you down, show you some of the woodland, the streams and some of the farmland around here. Nice little walk, so let's get going and we'll see what we can find. Come on, let's go.
So the walk starts from Eccleston Green, where there's a cutout of a soldier resting on his rifle with his head bowed down towards a cross. The sign says, "Lest we forget." So leaving the green behind, we head down Ince Lane, which is a narrow private road, and at the end of Ince Lane it turns into a dirt track, a dirt footpath. So we follow that all the way down, which is tree lined, a little bit muddy, and it leads to a river. The video now showing the river panning across towards some stepping stones and a footbridge. The video shows the stepping stones with the river coming through it and some steps on the other side. So this time we're going to go across the stepping stones, and then we'll follow a flight of stone steps up to the track. The video's just showing a shot back across the stepping stones. There is a footbridge there as well if you want to go over that. So we head up the stone steps and we follow a dirt track which will lead to the main road. This is a tree lined track, quite muddy in places. So once we get to the main road we turn left and follow that for a short distance before we cross over and we go down Reynolds Lane. Just be careful because there is no footpath on this section of the path of the road. So we're going down Reynolds Lane. The video is now showing a small bunch of snowdrops, which is a white flower, green stems, and it's blowing gently in the wind. So we carry on following the private road, which is Reynolds Lane. And you've got farmland on both sides. On the right hand side there's a low hedge, and on the left hand side there's more trees and a taller hedgerow, and there's grass verges all the way down the road. Looking across there's a pair of Canada geese. This is a biggish goose with a beige body, black neck and head, and a white band round its head. One is stood on alert while the other is feeding in the field. At the end of Reynolds Lane there's a big house on the right hand side. We go past that and it turns into the track turns into a dirt track that leads into Knowles Wood. This path can be quite muddy in places depending on the time of year or the weather that you go to do this walk. Because it is in a woodland, there are quite a lot of exposed tree roots, so just be very careful if you're doing it. We would advise you take somebody who has got sight with you. Knowles Wood is a mixed woodland where there's holly trees, beech, birch, ash, oak. There's a few birch trees. But it's not a dense woodland, it's quite an open woodland. This time of year there being no leaves on, you can see quite clearly through. You can see the farmers' fields to the right, you can see the sky as well. And there's quite a lot of moss and green growth on the trunks of a lot of the trees as well. So we follow the top path that leads through the woodland, and eventually it starts leading downhill, which will bring us down towards the stream that runs through the wood. This is one of my favourite places to come and play as a child. Lots of hiding places, den building. So we eventually get down to the river level. I'm just showing a view looking downstream. Nice clear water. There's just a little waterfall coming down a sheet of rock. Again, the water is nice and clear. So we follow the river and it leads to a footbridge. The video is just revealing the footbridge from behind a tree. And then we go over the footbridge, leading over the river, and then we follow a path leading uphill, and it looks like this is the remains of an old cobbled path, so it can be a little bit slippy as well at times, so just be careful and make sure you've got some good footwear on. There's quite a few holly bushes in this area of the woodland as well. Just going past one now on the left and also on the right. Now showing a bank of snowdrops, bright white flowers with the green stems. So leaving the bank of snowdrops behind, we carry on following the path and it opens out. There's a house on the left hand side and there's a fence which I think has got barbed wire along the top of it, so just be careful. And this little track then opens up onto another private road which will then lead out onto a narrow country lane. Just as we get onto the private road, there's a low stone wall on the left hand side with a paddock behind it, and there's usually an alpaca in there which is like a small llama, and this one is a white colour with soft curly fur. So at the end of the private road we turn left and we follow this country road which will lead us towards Eccleston diving centre. It is a very quiet road, but there are no footpaths on it, so just be aware of any traffic that's coming. So we follow the road for probably about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile or so, and we go past a couple of farms which we get to before we get to the diving centre at Eccleston Delf. Video is now showing a small clump of daffodils with the bright yellow flowers waving in the wind on a grass embankment with a stone wall behind them. Sign of a public footpath which leads through a gap in the hedge and fence, through a kissing gate stile and into a field. So we take this path which is on the left hand side, and then we follow the path across the field which is leading to the boundary with Eccleston Diving Centre. Eccleston Delf was an old quarry, and they used a lot of it to make the prom at Blackpool, and I think at Morecambe as well. It's been cleared out. It used to be full of all sorts of old cars and old mine workings, but they've cleared it out and they made it into a proper diving centre where they put structures there like cockpits of planes and things for divers to explore. The water is really clear now, and there's some really big fish in there that they've stocked up to give the divers something to look at when they're down there. It has been used in some soap operas. I think it's been used in Coronation Street, Emmerdale and Hollyoaks. And there was a famous case before it became the dive centre of the handler's corpse in the 80s. So it's got a grim past to it as well, but it's a really nice peaceful area now. Video showing a view looking out across the Delf. We're high up above it and the Delf is down below. So leaving the Delf behind, we follow the tree line and the hedge on our right hand side, which leads round the fields. So we've got open fields on our left and the tree line and fence on our right. So we keep following this and it leads downhill across a muddy field towards a stream where there's another footbridge over it. So when we get to the footbridge, we cross over the stream, and at the end of the footbridge there is a stile. So you come off the footbridge straight onto a stile where we go over the stile into another little field, and then only a short distance and there's another stile out onto the road. So we go over the footbridge and then over the stile. And then we come to the final stile for this part, which takes us onto the road where we turn left. We follow this road which will lead us towards a track on our right hand side which will take us up to Heskin Hall. This section of road again has no footpath, so just be careful. It is a relatively quiet road. So when we get to the track, we turn right, we cross over the road and take the track on our right hand side, go through a rusty gate, and it's a narrow straight path that's tree lined. There's an old metal fence on the left hand side, and this leads up to Heskin Hall and the farmers market. Just before we get to the farmers market, there's a footpath on our left hand side which leads across some fields. These fields can be quite muddy. In fact, they were very muddy when we did the walk. So we go over this stile which can be a bit wobbly when you step on the other side, so just be careful. It actually felt like a bit of a seesaw when we stepped on it. So we go across the field and you'll come to another stile and a gate. And the gate is sometimes unlocked. When we did it, it was unlocked, so we went through the gate. And this takes us into another very muddy field at this time. Once we've got through the gate, we follow the path which leads across the field, and we follow it with the fence line and tree line on our right hand side and the open field on our left. So we keep following this until we come to another stile. These stiles are quite good if you've got a dog as well. There are places for the dogs to go through. So we go over this stile into another field. And again, we keep following the fence line on our right hand side and the tree line on our right as well, keeping the open field on your left. Some big old trees on the right hand side, covered in ivy. And just through the trees there is a little pond on the right hand side, but you are separated from it via the tree line and a fence. So we just follow the tree line until we come to another stile. We go over this stile, which will bring us into the last field before we head back into some woodland. So again, keep following the path with the tree line on your right hand side, and you'll come to another stile which leads into the woodland, and there's also a small waterfall in the river at this point. Once over the stile, we follow the path, keeping the river on our right hand side, and follow it all the way back to the stepping stones and footbridge that was at the start of the video. This time we go over the footbridge, back down onto the stream bed, and then back up Ince Lane, back to the start point. So that's just a quick walk around Eccleston and Heskin, showing you some of the areas with the woodland and the farmers' fields. Hope you've enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to know more about this walk or any of the other walks, you can give me a call on 01772 744 148, and I'll gladly tell you more about the walk. So for now, hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe, look after each other. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.